Hi everybody, this is going to be a video about personal storytelling, why we want to start the oral language curriculum with personal storytelling as opposed to some other kind of speech. The key thing that I want to bring out before we start this is that we need to bring oral language into the classroom, make it a curriculum. The scientific research has been talking about oral language as a predictor of literacy success for decades, and yet we keep ignoring it in the curriculum, letting it slip by, making assumptions, hoping that kids have the oral language background, complaining when they don't, all of these kinds of things. So we need to bring it into the classroom, make it an explicit part of the curriculum. As we've talked about in this class and other classes, we see this in preschool really frequently, and then it just sort of disappears just as it's starting to become able to make those connections or those bridges over to literacy for us. So we need to take what good preschool teachers are always already doing with storytelling, singing, drama, jokes and riddles, all of those things, because preschool teachers do these things because most of their students can't read, of course. But we need to take these things forward and use them as the core of the curriculum for literacy. So we want to make it a curriculum because the scientific research has been saying that, and it just makes good sense. We're going to do better with literacy. We're going to reap the return on investment, ROI, return on investment, if we spend the time to do personal storytelling as part of the oral language curriculum. The second reason we want to start out with personal storytelling as opposed to some other genre is because we want to invite the kids' home lives into the school, make this relevant. So we want that personal, household, community level involvement in the oral language curriculum, not trying to make them do something new, asking them to bring in stories, little anecdotes, little things that get told at home with their friends, siblings, on the bus on the way home, something that's informal in nature that exists out there in the world that they know is real, and bring it in and let them tell that during school time. The third reason we want to do that is that it is background knowledge. They already know these things. They're stories that they hear and tell. We don't have to get them to learn a whole new thing and then do something with it in the curriculum. We invite something in that already exists as background knowledge. That's powerful pedagogy. So the other reason we want to do this is because it's high motivational return on investment. It's based on self-determination theory. We're bringing in personal stories that already have relevance for the kids. They already know that they want to tell these stories. We let them choose the stories that they're going to tell, which gives them the autonomy. And because of all of this, they have a really good chance at doing it competently. So that's the full triad of self-determination theory and in motivation. So this is also meaningful language. It makes otherwise short-term speech. Speech is just kind of flowing around us all the time. And young kids don't know that you can hold on to that speech and make it a thing. So we're making speech into text, so to speak. It's not making it into print, it's making it into a text, something that we talk about, something that we hold on to, something that we think about and discuss afterwards. We talk about your story, we talk about your story, we talk about your story. We give these stories titles. It lasts instead of flowing away like other speech does. This is going to be powerful for you, this idea of objectifying language and making into something, especially if you bring in recording equipment, because kids' capacity to say something, then go back to the phone, the iPod, the computer, the iPad, whatever you're using, and listen back to this will objectify it for them even more so. So I would make that a piece of scaffolding for your kids. Bring in recording equipment, let the kids learn how to use it. The next thing is that you're going to be building up memory for a story. And this is the first necessary element of comprehension, to be able to hear something, bring it into short-term memory, manipulate it, turn it into long-term memory. So memory and comprehension are going to come out of your personal storytelling work. Also, the more you bring these stories out, talk about them, listen to them, and so on, you're going to be giving your kids a baseline model for fluency as meaningful language. We don't want to set up our kids, our young kids, second and third graders, first graders, for the idea that fluency is speed. We want the idea that fluency is meaningful language with that cadence, that voice that helps us deliver meaning. You can slow it down as much as you want to keep the meaning going, and your phrasing and your sentences are about ideas, not not about speed. And you're going to get good fluency if you start with storytelling as part of your oral language curriculum and then move it over and start talking about, remember what it's like when we tell stories, how we talk when we tell stories. That's what we want it to sound like when we read. So vocabulary is going to be another great benefit of bringing in some of this oral language. One of the things that I do with personal storytelling is that I make sure that I listen really closely, and when we talk about these things, the stories together as a group, we listen for good words, and we bring those words out and put them on tagboard, index cards, whatever you want to do, sticky notes. Make them into printed words so that the kids know that the best words from their story are going to get put into print and put up on a word wall, put into a notebook, made into something that everybody gets to use. And the interesting thing about doing this from storytelling is that you get 100% validity on your assessment. You know that that kid knows that word because they used it in a meaningful context. You give that to them as print. It's one of the greatest gifts you can give them, is to show them that their oral language, the language they hear, the language they speak, gets made into print. So these are some of the key reasons why I go to personal storytelling first as my first speech genre to promote in the oral language curriculum, because I can get such quick success with it. I build up my own repertoire of multiple stories. I encourage my kids to build up their repertoire of multiple stories. I bring in the recording equipment. I bring in the things to make the oral language into printed language as much as I can, tagboard, index cards, sticky notes, and all of the markers and other things that we might need to make that work. It's a quick lecture, but I think there are a lot of reasons why we want to do personal storytelling. I didn't even go into writing, did I? How valuable could this be if you immediately turned around your personal storytelling curriculum and started making it into your writing curriculum? Are kids ever asked to use personal stories in tests? You tell me. All right, we'll talk to you soon.